with everything that's happening in the world, we're all spending a lot more time indoors. And in today's video, I wanted to share with you guys one of my favorite art books. Now this is Painting Indoors by Charles Sovek. And this is a book that is just one of my treasures in my book collection. The copy that I have happens to be signed by Sovek himself. I'm just thrilled to have a signed copy because Charles passed away in 2007 and just had a great art spirit. And I think that just comes through in all of his teaching. He's written several books. Obviously, I'm never going to get the chance to take a workshop from Charles, but he does have a series of DVDs as well available on his website. And check out his website because he has a lot of free lessons posted right on his site. We're all better off that Sovek has written these books. They've benefited so many people. I know they've benefited me. I hope this video is cool for you guys. Check this book out, Painting Indoors, Charles Sovek. So here we have the book, Painting Indoors by Charles Sovek. My copy happens to be inscribed to Ramon and Joe with my farthest best wishes, Charles Sovek. That was just something extra that was really cool. My sister got me this book for Christmas one year. Jumping right into things. Picture of cowboy boots. Right off the bat, look at the values in this piece. Look at how beautifully the light just pops off of that. This book is for Chip, Jeannie, Debbie, and Grandma Webster, who made it all possible. This book was originally written in 1980. Here we have the contents. Let's just keep going. Here we have an introduction. He's talking about the different subject matter that painters have available to them, and he's making the case that the interior, painting pictures of a room or objects in a room, is a great subject. There, I believe that's a self-portrait. Yeah, self-portrait, 6 inches by 11 inches oil on canvas. Here he's given us a rundown of a couple different ways to paint indoors. Here you can see he has his French easel set up, and here he has a paint box. I wouldn't call this a pochade box, and he's made a sort of a clamp-on light arm come off of the top of the paint box so that he can have some light. I think here he's talking about some different mediums that you can use. Oils versus acrylic versus watercolor, pastels, pen and ink. This is always a fun couple pages in every art book, and that's where we're talking about the brushes, talking all about the supplies, mahl sticks, ink holders, different water containers. This might be a good idea for soaking your brushes if you have to. On this page, he's showing us a viewfinder that he uses. He's talking about his palette knife and his painting knife. Here he has made a brush washer by coiling some wire, and the sediment from the paint is going to fall to the bottom of the jar by using that. And then he also has his thoughts on turpentine and odorless paint spirits. Here he's wrapping his brushes. I think he's wrapping them to go in transit. Here he's got a bit about saving his paint. It looks like what he's doing is he's putting his paint on a palette that won't be damaged by water, and then he's just submerging it in a pan of water. Also has a couple of things that he's kind of come up with. A razor blade and a holder, and he also has this where he stuffs a rag into a cat food jar. You hear that? If we bought you nice cat food in a can, we could make a brush dauber with that. Here's some pastel box ideas. Here he's showing you how to hold the brush. You know, he's choking the brush here, and here he's holding it in the way that a lot of painters do, holding it from the back. So on this page, he's showing you how to use a mirror. And he says a mirror is useful occasionally for looking at your pictures in reverse. We sometimes become blind to our pictures after working on them for long periods of time. A look in the mirror makes the reverse image will quickly show up mistakes. I happen to have a little mirror that I wear around my neck. Here he's cleaning the brushes, taking care of them. Here he's got his oil set up. This looks like his watercolor palette. And here we have a demonstration where he's painted his acrylic setup. With oil, I will say it's nice to have something that your palette can go into. You know, this is just like a palette or a piece of paper palette, but it's nice to have a French easel because you can close the easel up and your palette goes right inside there. Chapter 2, drawing. Beautiful drawings of some old mannequins. Here he's asked several different artists to draw sardine cans. Okay, so you can see some artists are very interested in linear-based drawings where the line is really important. And then Sovek himself happens to be, in my opinion, very interested in a shape-based, a mass-based technique with his drawings, not necessarily linear technique. So he's seeing the world in terms of shape. This is a great little couple pages. This is available on his website as well. At least it was the last time that I looked. And he's showing you how easy it is to measure out a drawing and use some sight size skills. That's a cool page to look at. Here he's talking about some perspective. This just reminds me of the first class that I ever had in art school. We did just this, drawing these kind of squares, creating boxes around objects and then filling them in with the actual object. Really cool stuff. Oh, here he's designing a room kind of in the same way. He's saying, look, here's a square that the room can sit inside of. He's done some sketching, looks like a charcoal sketch, maybe an ink pen in there as well, interpreting this photo into a tonal sketch. He's paying a lot of attention to the values that he's using. Beautiful, quick, and really nice drawings. Value and pattern. Here he's getting right into it. These are just great. I mean, that just looks like glass bottles, doesn't it? Just love them. I think these are some old masters paintings that he is made just some tonal value sketches out of. Here he shows you how he goes from a line-based rendition into a more tonal. And here we have the, the final version that's all about the light. This is an interesting idea. This is like a white paper, but because it's backlit, it becomes very deep in value. Here he's mixing up a couple different values with his palette knife, just in black and white paint. Beautiful painting. Just lovely. Working only in value. Some different cups. These are great little paintings. The metronome. What a great little interior. Here he's introduced a figure into this. It says that, I'm just reading here, it's the interior of his friend's lovely New York apartment. Very cool. Awesome. That must be, I think Chip is his son. In one of his books he has a great painting of Chip with a stocking cap on. This is obviously Chip as a even younger person. Here we have a figure being lit by lamplight. We're seeing the difference between overcast and sunny days. Or maybe that's north light and that's south light. There's Alphonse. Real simple tonal sketches. If there's something that I have, really enjoyed on my journey to being a painter, it's just getting yourself lost in 20 minutes making stuff like this. One thing is that this just looks like an old-time interior, doesn't it? So if we paint the stuff that we have now, in 40 years, that's going to look old-timey as well. Here's his friend Evelyn. He's demonstrating different types of edges here. Here he's showing you how he can soften an edge. This is the way that I was taught in art school, was that you paint it hard edge, you take the brush and you zigzag it, and then you clean your brush off, and with one swipe you go over the zigzag to soften the edge. Here's a painting. He says soft edges dominate this painting. Love this. Love how immediate this is. Sue North. She hadn't had dinner yet. Maybe that's why she's so solemn. The scene called for crisp, hard edges with only a few soft ones to show contrast. Just love that he's just having people sit down for 45 minutes or an hour instead of going for lunch. This is great. Makes me want to paint out in my dad's old tool shed. Combining interior with exterior. That's awesome. There's another painter, Charles Reed, who does a bunch of these kind of things where it's a big panoramic window and it's a large window. You see what's inside, you see what's outside. He's talking a lot about value control here. Here he's got there's more detail happening on the interior, and you can see, you can make out like a chimney on a house outside, but it's really subdued. Here, he's building up a lot more outside, and he's kind of subduing his value pattern. He's subduing the number of values that he's using on the inside to be able to have a little more interest outside. I also believe that he's talking about anything that's outside should be lighter in value than anything that's inside. Great sketches of some awesome fishing boats. Backsteps. This is like something if you live in town. For me, whenever I go over to Bella's parents' house, it's just like looking out their window. Rooftops. Mario's. Really feeling for those small businesses right now. Ooh, color. You can see how tonal this is. If you saw it in black and white, it would work just as well as any of those paintings that we had in color. Just giving some ideas on colors. Just seeing color on the page like that from 1980. I think Sovek was using the Grumbacher paints, and I think that they were a very high quality, good paint back then. He's talking about his palette. Just everyday objects. If you want to paint, you're gonna paint. Just looking outside the door. Looks like there's some color. Maybe it's a spring day in the shade. I don't think I've looked at this book for a long time. Here we have some alternate medias that he's used. Beautiful oil portrait. You guys are going to want to grab this book and have time to really pore over it. Love this. Love this. Lovely sketch, working on a toned ground. Looks like we have a demonstration painting here going all the way from his sketch to his lay-in, down here, massing it in, finally ending with this beautiful painting. All right, love it. Love these paintings. This just reminds me of being at my grandma's house or something like that, going into the pantry, grabbing some food. A whole chapter on putting people in your pictures, talking about the importance of anatomy. But I think Sovek kind of has a, obviously he's spent time in the life room, but I don't think he's trying to force any sort of extreme knowledge of anatomy or anything like that on you. I think he just wants you to look and respond. I think that's the strength of his painting. Looks like some ink. Beautiful nude. More great figurative work. Looks like here he's got some sketches that he's made with probably a ballpoint pen, some charcoal, could be some different media. Exploring a different scene. He's saying if this was the outer crop, this might be one way to perceive it, where you're in another room, you get this archway, you get the window behind her, the child is small. Here's another way. Same scene, you've just cropped in. Now the window creates a different shape, thinking about shapes in different ways. And then here we have the child, just a little bit different arrangement, coming closer in. Now we're getting kind of the classic head and hands. And then finally all the way into just a portrait. So he's just showing you in one scene all the different options that you have. Kind of showing you how he handles putting anatomy in when it's just a very quick. These are obviously people in one of his workshops or something like that. It just looks like they're painting. The old wood stove. Oh, here he's talking about working from actual reference material. Love the pattern on that bedspread. Just that pattern. Playing off that pattern. Here's the life room. Doesn't that take you back to your own days in the life room? Cool. Drawings of cameras. It's got a little perspective idea happening there. Again, exploring different compositional ideas. What a beautiful painting. If there's one thing I get from Sovek is just that you want to take time up front to explore all the different ideas. Why paint for 3 hours and end up with something that compositionally isn't as well designed as you would have liked it to have been, when you can just spend 10 minutes up front, 20 minutes doing a series of small drawings, really exploring that. I guarantee if you do that, you're going to get to know your subject and it's going to lead to stronger work. Just so immediate. Just scrubbing that thing in with a broad stroke. I don't think that you could paint that light and much better than it is rendered right there. Maybe this is a brush and ink drawing on the canvas that he did after the fact. Again, we're going through another demonstration. Finished work. A gallery of pictures painted indoors. So here he's sharing inspiration from other works, other artists. And I like that in books when it's not only one artist's work where they're going to show you. Here is an exploration of the tonal pattern that's happening here. Look at the placement of those lights on that coconut. It's just a beautiful abstract arrangement of shapes that is made into something recognizable. Clearly a lot of thought went into the design of this painting. Really good stuff. The story that something this simple tells. Just well done. Great arrangement of values. The newest iPhone 12. This is the artist Franklin Jones. Here he's got his the old toolkit. It reminds me of something that's out in the shed out here. Acknowledgements. A final word. Art, after all, is but an extension of language to the expression of sensations too subtle for words. That's from Robert Henry, author of The Art Spirit. And there's Charles, Northlight from Westport, Connecticut. Ooh. Well, there you have it. That was Charles Sovek's book, Painting Indoors, written in 1980. But, you know, painting is one of those things where the information doesn't get old. When it's great information, it's not going anywhere. I hope that you'll pick up a copy of this book and let me know if any of these things that I have taken inspiration from in Charles's work are similar for you. And thanks for checking out this first edition of the book review. Thanks for sticking with me. See you guys soon.